Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Happy to welcome Jeff Donovan, lead guitarist for the Guitars and Whiskey Club, to the program tonight. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Lance?
I'm doing well. Got hooked up with you through our good friend Dave Tedder.
Yeah,
Always on the job, that man.
he is. We're glad to have him on the team. That's for sure.
Yeah. Of course, he sent me an EPK of you guys. I got to listen to your EP, the songs and everything. Great
Mhm.
stuff.
Thank you. Thank
If you
you
don't
very much.
mind, I'd like to start right there with the songs. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
I mean, after all, it's all about the music, right?
Absolutely.
First track, Rebel Fire. What a great groove, and might I say, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass, killer solo.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Talk to us a little bit about Rebel Fire.
Rebel Fire was a song that I wrote. I wrote the music and the lyrics to that one, and it really was about um, the rebel fire that drives your heart to do what we're doing, to play live music, to go out to clubs, to go through back alleys to load in and back alleys to load out, and that's really what it's all about for us, is getting out there playing live in front of an audience. Of course, we love the recording too and everything, but really playing live is our real passion. And it's amazing. I don't think a lot of people understand what goes on. How much work it really is just getting to a gig and getting back home. But it's the rebel fire that drives our heart.
And you bring up a great point. A lot of people don't realize they're there for the show. They see you on stage. They think, oh, wow, this is awesome. They don't realize all the moving parts that go into everything. Talk a
Yeah.
little about some of the challenges of that.
Well, it's always challenging, no matter where you go. A lot of places, for instance, parking is a big hassle. A lot of the smaller clubs,
Yep.
you have to park 3 or 4 blocks away and then haul your equipment down there. That's not the case with all of them, but that's a challenge. Most of the clubs, though, that we've worked with have all been very respectful and very understanding of what the band goes through to get there and get set up and get ready and go. So I gotta hand it to the venues. They really know their stuff, and I can't say that I've come across a venue that I don't like and haven't been treated well at.
That's cool. So do you think, as you were giving that explanation and that stuff, I was thinking, you always hear horror stories about club owners and bands not getting paid and different things going on. Is that sort of from a past era? It doesn't exist as much today. Do you think the
Um,
owners have a little bit better understanding of everything?
well, owners, to tell you the truth, I don't dwell on that much. I do hear a lot of other bands complain about, not getting paid, properly for a gig. I really, the monetary aspect for me is, hey, if we even just break even, we're doing well.
Yeah.
uh, so I don't really give it too much thought. I probably should give it a little bit more, but for us, it's just really getting out there and having a good time.
Yeah.
And as long as we're treated well and give us a couple of drink tickets, we're happy.
Cool. Cool. Track two, Sleazy. Some more killer guitar. I love the bass work in this as well. Um, that kind of jumped out through my earphones as I was listening to it.
Well, thank you.
Talk a little bit about Sleazy.
Okay, so Sleazy was a song. I wrote the music. Um, I sent it to Mark Prudhoe, our lead singer, front man. I said, I don't have any lyrics for this, but to me, it just sounds sleazy. And Mark took it from there and wrote all the lyrics to it. Um, the interesting thing about that track is, well, I do all the guitar recording here in my studio. I've got a nice, real nice little studio here, and
Yeah.
I have learned how to do all the recording properly. And the funny thing about that one was I initially, all of those solos, I just made them for the scratch track for the band to hear. I didn't intend for those to be the final solos. It's always, well, I want to put them in so that I can show the band where the solos go and where they are. And then when I got done with it, I was really happy that I had all my recording gear set up and was actually recording it as I would normally,
Mm,
because I listened to the solos and I improvised every single one of the solos on that song in just one take, one shot. Like I said, it was just meant to be a scratch track where the solos were. And when I listened to it, I said, well, how did I pull that out?
yeah.
I think I'll keep these solos. So I actually had to go back and relearn them so that we can play them live.
Well, that's awesome, you know. So just sort of just came straight out of the cosmos, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Every now and then that happens. And it's
Yeah.
just like I said, the grace of God, I had everything set up and was recording them at the time. So,
Very cool. Awesome. Track three, I know as I was listening to this, the vibe of it reminded me a lot of Skinner's Simple Man, the tempo,
huh,
the way it kind of got delivered and stuff.
interesting.
The intro in particular of Simple Man reminded me of this track. Great ballad, great video. Um, Personal experience here or just a song you wrote?
Oh, like everything, that's from personal experience. I mean, most of my stuff, at least the stuff that I write the lyrics for, are all about personal experiences. That was actually about, I won't mention any names, but it was about my first girlfriend, my
Mm,
first real girlfriend, which was approximately when I was 16. So, we, like most young lovers, went our separate ways a year and a half, 2 years after we started going out. But we remained really good friends and still are to this day. And I'm really happy about that. The song itself, it took me 45 years to spit it all out, get it on paper, but it finally came out. So
very cool. Does your dog bite? I love the slow intro to the wind up. This is my favorite track. And I love the video. The video was shot at the Whiskey, it looked like.
yes, yes, it was. Yeah.
Cool. How fun was that to shoot there?
Oh, it's always fun. We have a great time at the Whiskey.
Yeah.
We love playing there. We try to play there 3 or 4 times a year. Everybody there is great to us. They've actually just recently upgraded everything. They've got a whole new backline. They've got new lighting system. We played there last month, and it was just phenomenal. The sound improvement is just really awesome.
Cool.
But yeah, but does your dog bite? So that was another one that I collaborated with Mark on. I handed him the music and I said, here's the music. I don't have a title. I don't have any lyrics. And Mark just took it from there, did all the lyrics. And I think he did a great job.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then the final track, Lone Cowboy. I like this. I love story songs. And to me, this is like a great story song. The harmonies were phenomenal. The acoustics. Once it got going and got rocking out, I could think of Highway Song by the Outlaws. You
Right.
know,
Yeah. Okay.
the way it kind of wound up. But a great tune. Um,
Thank you.
maybe just a dash of country in there. And I'm talking classic country. Not the new stuff.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I personally I hear a lot of things in the songs, and especially that one. I've heard people reference Bad Company as well as the reference you made, and yeah, when I think about it, it's like okay, yeah, I can hear that in it, yeah, and I can hear some country in it as well.
Yeah, great track.
I never intended it to be like that, but it
Right,
just came the way it is. Yeah.
absolutely. Uh, where'd you get the story for this one? Must be sort of like an on the road, sort of a what's the Seeger song there? Turn the page, you know?
Okay, so that one is actually the only song that we have in our repertoire that was written partially by somebody who's never been in the band.
Hmm.
That was the lyrics. I had all the music. Um, I had no lyrics. I had my buddy Patrick Malone, who's a very talented singer, lives up in the Bay Area. We're good friends, and he came down one weekend. And one evening, we were out on my back porch, and we were both having a couple of glasses of whiskey. And I said, and well, I'd actually brought him down to record a couple of songs that I had that I wanted to hear what it would sound like with the vocalist, because at the time I didn't have a vocalist. This was actually before we formed the first incarnation of the band.
Sure.
And so we did a couple of those songs, and we were sitting out sipping on some whiskey. And he said, "Well, what else you got?" And I said, "Well, I got this song." I said, "I have no lyrics for it, but I know it's about a cowboy." I know that. And he said, "Well, wait a second." And about 10 minutes later, he had written out all the lyrics for it.
Wow. That's
So,
phenomenal.
you know, we went and recorded, and it sounded great. And he signed off on it, gave me his blessing to use the lyrics. And so that's what we're doing.
Cool. Now you
Yeah.
mentioned your vocalist Mark, who wrote a lot of the lyrics. Now your bass player Frank does a lot of your production, correct?
Uh, Frank does his own production. We're really so right now, the way that this whole thing works, our main producer and engineer, recording engineer, is a guy named Adam Ponce. Now, Adam
Okay.
actually played the drums on most of the songs on the EP. Adam is a very talented, gifted studio musician. He's actually the protege of Simon Phillips,
Oh,
and um, so he did that. But Adam is just so busy that he didn't have time to be in a band full time or anything like that.
hmm,
But he is the one that handles all the recording, engineering, and pre-production and post-production as well. Um, Frank, Frank, myself, and Mark, we all have our own home studio. So we all actually do all the recording for ourselves here, for the guitar, the bass, and the vocals. We all do it in our own little studios. We do the drum recording in a studio that Adam goes to, a professional studio, because it's still a little bit difficult to get the sounds that we want out of a home
mhm.
studio. I mean, with the guitars and everything, it's fine.
Right.
Um, but so we do that, and Adam does all the recording engineering on it as well. And being a drummer himself, he's really got a great handle on
Yeah. That was the one thing I read in a couple of interviews that you gave. The one sort of silver lining that came out of the pandemic and the COVID shutdown was you guys all learned the art of recording in a home studio. You had the
that.
time, obviously, to do it, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, if there was any blessing to that pandemic, because it did wipe out so much. I mean, it's just we had gigs booked like crazy. We were just catching our momentum right
Yeah.
when everything shut down. And so when it did, it's heartbreaking, but it's like, well, hey, what are we going to do? So you just keep moving forward. And having my own studio here was really a saving grace. It's sanctuary for me to come into. And yet during that time, we just said, well, let's get to it. We can all work remotely. And we all, um, I made some upgrades in my studio because of that. So did everybody else, and we just really figured out how to work well remotely, which is something that we still do. So it really, there was a silver lining in it for us.
Yeah.
Say that, yeah.
How hard is it to go from, say, recording separately to then being together, say, in a practice session, when you're going to get together and you're going to run through some of these tunes? Does everybody come in on the same playing field, or is it different levels? Because you're sort of used to being in your own space.
No, it's pretty much the same playing field. I mean, we've all done this before, for countless years.
Mm,
And everybody always comes prepared to rehearsal, and we try to rehearse every single week. Um, so yeah, I would say that everybody's pretty much in the same mindset. I mean, we do work out ideas and everything in the studio, of course, and that's what you're going to there. Sometimes we just do a rehearsal. We'll have a new song and say, "This is all we're going to work on tonight," and that's
yeah,
all we work on that night.
yeah,
So it really depends on what's in front of your plate. If you got a big gig coming up, well, you want to rehearse that set list.
right,
But if you're planning on recording a couple of tracks in the near next couple of weeks, then you want to work on those and make sure that everybody is on the same page with what you're going to do with the song and the arrangement and everything that goes along with it.
yeah. Speaking of big gigs you got coming up next week, playing the Ventura Theater with Angel, you got to be
Yes.
stoked for that one.
I'm really excited about that one. A little story: I was in the Angel fan club when I was 14 years old. Uh, I went to to my first Angel show when I was 15 at the Long Beach Arena. My mom had to drive me there.
Wow.
I went to see them in Long Beach again when I was 16, and fortunately I could drive myself.
Yeah.
Um, but I've been a fan of theirs going back since as long as I can remember. And I never, 10 years ago, I never thought I would see Angel live again. So to actually be seeing them live and to actually be sharing the stage with them is a huge thrill for me.
Yeah.
Um, I'm really excited about it.
I have always been a huge Angel fan. I actually got to interview Frank Domino a number of years ago. Great guy, super cool guy.
Yeah, I'm looking
So
forward to meeting them. I've never met them in person, so
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Beyond that, do you have much else lined up? You gaining some
Oh,
momentum
well,
back and stuff?
oh yeah, after the Angel show, 2 days after that, on April 28th, we're playing at a club called the Mint in LA. Really high profile club, and this will be our first time at the Mint, so we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
The week after, we're playing in Corona at a club called Rockefellers. Again, really high end club. I've heard a lot of great things about it. It's our first time there as well.
Cool.
And so we're hoping to make some new fans down in the Corona area. Let's see, in July, we're at the Canyon Club. July 23rd, we're at the Canyon Club in Montclair, opening for Y&T,
Nice.
which
Yeah, I
is
saw that one. Yeah.
another one of my favorite bands.
Mm.
So I'm really looking forward to that. In September, um, we have a gig again back at the Whiskey, opening for a band called Vane. I don't know if you've ever heard of
I
Vane.
remember Vane. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Late 80s, early
Um,
90s. Yep.
right, and that's what we got so far. So we're still trying to, fill our calendar for the rest of the year. But yeah, we have some pretty exciting shows coming up.
That's cool. I saw Y&T back in 1985 open for Motley Crue on the Theater of Pain tour.
Oh, nice,
Amazing show. Amazing
nice.
show. And Y&T blew us away.
I think I saw them right after they came out with Black Tiger.
Ooh.
I saw them at the Roxy, which was a
Oh,
great show.
oh my God. I'm so
Great.
jealous. One of my favorite albums.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of going back in time now, you were of course raised by working musician parents. Were
Yes.
they in bands and stuff so from an early age you've been inoculated in this, you know?
Yes, and my mom was, in many bands. I mean, she was actually the leader of all of the bands. She was the one that put it together. My father was usually in her band, or one of the incarnations of her band, and they were gigging on a regular basis. So yeah, I got a taste of that from the day I was born, basically.
And you started playing drums. You played guitar first, then went to drums. You played drums, then went to guitar.
So I initially picked up the guitar probably when I was about 5 years old. My dad played guitar, so there was always guitars hanging around the house. When I was about 8, I decided I wanted to play drums. I really wanted to play drums. So they got me a drum kit and I started playing drums. And when I was about 11 and a half or 12, my mom lost their drummer in the band, and because of the fact that I was at all the rehearsals, I knew all the songs, so I pretty much sat in with them for about a year as their
Oh,
sub drummer,
that's
which
cool.
was cool. It was a very interesting experience. A couple of times I remember when my mom was playing at some bars, they would always have to leave me out in the truck until they went on stage because
Right.
nobody my age was allowed. And then, excuse me, as soon as we were done, they'd have to shuffle me back into the van and they'll do their socializing. And, I would just wait there for them to come out.
That's awesome.
Um, so I did that on drums with them for about a year and a half. And then when I was 13, um, I heard Zeppelin's Good Times, Bad Times. And when I
Mhm.
heard the solo in that song, it just hit me like a hammer over the head. It was just like, oh my God, now I know what I want to do right.
Yeah.
And so right then when I was 13 and heard that song, I just made the conscious decision then and there to switch back to guitar, and I've never looked back.
Awesome. The other guitarist I read you were influenced by, and the album you love, which has been one of my all-time favorites, was UFO Obsession and Michael Schenker, of course.
Absolutely. Michael Schenker is, I would say he was my biggest influence.
Yeah.
Uh, the way he phrases everything, and Obsession was just a great album. Every
Mhm.
lead on there is just so tasty, and just, I still listen to it every week.
Yeah. The first time I played Only You Can Rock Me and I heard that solo, I was just like, my Lord, you know?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
they end that one and they go right into Pack It Up and Go, and it's like, okay, you know?
right.
Wow, you know?
Yeah, yeah, just fantastic. And Michael Schenker, I still, I've followed his entire career since he was with UFO till when he formed MSG. In fact, I
Mm.
got to see the first incarnation of MSG when they had Cozy Palace, the drummer.
Wow.
I saw them at the country club in Reseda. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then now it's Michael Schenker Fest. I just saw him a couple years ago at the Whiskey
Yeah.
playing as well. So and he's in top form still.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, so jealous, so jealous. Um, and not only do you do bands and guitar and everything, I read some of this other stuff that you're able to do. You have brewed beer professionally. You can fix watches. You've done a virtual reality app that was on display at the Guggenheim.
yes, that was back in 1993. Yes,
Is
that was a lot of people don't realize that virtual reality was born a long, long time ago.
yeah. Is
And
Go ahead.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, my other passion in life is programming. I'm a coder as well, and I've been doing it for a long time. Uh, I had started a virtual reality company in 1993, and I was living in Sausalito, which was basically where it was all born,
Mm,
and got to work with this artist, Jenny Holzer. Intel was putting on a art symposium for emerging technologies, and this one was all about VR. They had several artists, Jenny Holzer, Thomas Dolby, a couple of others, and each artist got their own programmer, and we wrote this virtual reality program. Whatever they had in their mind, we tried to make it,
yeah.
reality. And it ran at the Guggenheim Museum for
Uh,
3, 4 weeks, something like that.
Now, are you talking the She Blinded Me with Science, Thomas Dolby?
That's the one. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. He's a great guy. We spent a lot of time back there together when we were in New York. So
That's cool. That's cool.
yeah,
Great tune. And I got fascinated with him when I found out that Foreigner brought him in for that whole synth intro on Waiting for a Girl Like You. I guess he programmed, that preceded She Blinded Me with Science.
right. Yeah.
Wow. Very cool stuff.
Uh,
How about the beer brewing? Tell me about that.
well, it's just another one of my hobbies that I fell into. That when I fall into a hobby, I usually fall pretty hard. And
Yeah.
it started off with me and a buddy wanting to homebrew, and at that time, it was just starting to take off. Jimmy Carter legalized it all,
Hmm.
so you were now able to do it at home. And me and my buddy started, and I found out it was real work. It was actually hard work. In fact,
Mm.
the partner that started with me uh, decided that he didn't want to do it after a couple times of trying. He just said, "I'll just buy beer at the store." And but I kept going into it and kept getting deeper and deeper. And I met some guys up in the San Francisco area who were just starting their own brewery, and I went to work for them and was one of the brewers there for a few years.
Huh?
It was a great experience. Lots of work, a lot of
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Very cool. So we'll circle back into music now. We talked about some of the gigs that you had coming up. You've got, the EPs out. What about beyond that? Any new tunes on the horizon? Anything else happening or?
Well, we're definitely working on our full length CD right now.
Okay.
In fact, we're in the process of recording the songs. We have a bunch recorded, and we have a bunch more yet to go. I don't have a specific date that we're targeting to get it out there. It's just as soon as possible. I hate putting dates on things when it's not done,
Right.
because anything can come in and throw a wrench into the works, for a little while. But we are working on it, and we are trying to get it out as soon as we can. So we're hoping for a 12 song CD.
Nice. I read the band name came from a daydream you had of your dream job, opening up a guitar and whiskey club and having a band and
Not exactly,
no?
close, but that name came out of the fact, I've been doing this for a long time and I've been in a lot of bands. And when I was putting this one together, which was in late 2015, I knew how much work it was going to be, and I knew, because I wanted to do the gigging, I wanted to do high end gigs, so I knew how much work was going to be involved with it. And I remember driving past, well, a little town called Ojai up here. I don't know if you know Ojai, California, but I was taking a day drive up there, and we came across a bar that had been there for probably, I don't know, since as long as I can remember. Old rustic bar, uh, and it was for sale. It had a for sale sign up. And I just kind of stopped and looked at that and thought to myself, what I really should do is buy a bar called that the Guitar and Whiskey Club and just be the house band.
Mm.
I'd have all my bases covered right there.
Yeah,
Um, so that never happened. I never bought the bar or went into that, but the name did stick in my head, and
that's cool.
that's how it came about the name.
Being as long in music and around music as you've been, obviously you go back to pre-social media, hanging up flyers,
Oh yeah.
dealing with labels, dealing with managers, trying to book studio time, to now sitting in your home studio, being able to create your own music, put your own music out on GWC Productions label. Social media, you one click and you're worldwide.
Right.
Do you miss the old days at all, or are you happy? Would you like the best of both worlds, or
I do miss the old days, and those were fun days. Oh my God, I still remember going around stapling your flyers up to telephone poles, and anywhere you could get them. And then I remember down in Hollywood, we would staple the flyers up on the telephone pole and wait to see how fast it would be before another band came and stapled theirs right on top of ours. you know, but that was how you got the word out in those times, and so it was fun, and I think there was a lot more personal interaction with everybody in that regard,
yeah,
which is something I do miss. Um, but technology advances; you're never going to stop it. And what we have right now is something that we never had access to. I never imagined in a million years that I could just be sitting here with a click of a button and advertise the band worldwide,
yeah,
without having to go to a foreign country to staple flyers on their telephone book.
yeah,
You know, so um, it's I certainly don't object to anything. It has made it easier in that regard. Along with that, the ability, like you said, to do home recording has just unleashed a lot of people who are coming out with their own recordings.
right,
So the competition is definitely a lot steeper than it used to be. I mean, there's always been competitions. Uh, I wouldn't say between the actual musicians themselves, but who's going to get the best gig, who's going to get this gig, who's going to get that gig.
yeah,
And now there is just a flood of people out there that are doing this.
yeah,
Um, so you do have that aspect of it as well. But hey, like I said, technology is what it is. It's going to keep advancing on, and you either learn to roll with the changes or just go out with the dinosaurs.
yeah.
So
Very cool. Give out the website. It's guitarandwhiskeyclub.com. You can check everything out on there as well. And this has been a great conversation, Jeff. I've loved every minute. We were talking with Jeff Donovan, lead guitarist for the Guitar and Whiskey Club. I always like to end up with silly questions. I'm hoping these are questions you've never been asked before. Does it sound good?
that sounds good to me. Yeah.
If you could go back in time and eat one of your mom's home cooked meals from your youth, what would you have her make?
Hmm. Pot roast.
Okay. Favorite old school wrestler?
Andre the Giant.
No, just can't go wrong with that. First car you bought with your own money.
Oh my God, it was a 64 Oldsmobile.
Nice.
A big gray 64 Oldsmobile that we took the back seats out of so that we could put our cabinets in to haul them around to gigs.
Nice. I see you sitting there. You got a lot of cool stuff around you. What's your most cherished possession?
Oh, It's really hard to say. I don't. Just really quick. Probably one of these White Explorers right here.
Cool.
Those I got. I have two of those White Explorers with Floyd Roses on them. Those are both my stage guitars. One's a '91, one's a '92. I love those guitars. But they are just material, possessions. But as a musician and a guitar player, I can't imagine being without them.
Favorite topping for your pizza?
Favorite topping for my pizza? Oh, wow, that's a good question. Boy, I guess a good Italian sausage, probably.
Yeah, sounds good. Election year coming up next year. If you were to run for president, what would your campaign slogan be?
Mm, Make more music.
I was thinking play it loud, you know?
Or play a lot. That's a good one too. Yeah, absolutely.
If you could pick a television show to have a Guitars and Whiskey Club song placed in, what song would you pick?
Television show. Wow. Hmm. I don't watch much TV. I do watch a lot of movies. Boy, I don't know. That's
Okay,
a
well, if you don't watch a lot of TV, then you don't, you know.
Yeah. I can't think of anything on TV actually.
All right. When you go out on the road traveling, do you travel heavy or light?
Try to travel as light as possible.
As light as possible.
Yeah.
Cool. Last one, and this is the one we have the most fun with. If they were to make a biopic of your life, what actor would you have portray you? And it's your movie, your life. You can pick anybody.
Well, I'd probably pick Jeffrey Donovan.
Okay, there we
You
go.
know, there is an actor named Jeffrey Donovan. He's
I
been around.
do. Yes, you're right. Right.
Yes.
There you
So
go. Can't go wrong there. Jeff, has there been anything we didn't talk about? Any questions I didn't ask you? Anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to? Floor is yours.
no, I think you've covered the bases. I've really enjoyed the interview. I guess the only thing is, just anybody that's out there that wants to find us, it's guitarandwhiskeyclub.com. Any of the social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, just search for Guitar and Whiskey Club and you'll be sure to find us.
Awesome.
And I look forward to making some new fans in some new areas. And I hope that one of your listeners is one of them.
Absolutely. I hope so too. Jeff, may all your travels be safe and all your shows sold out.
Thank you so much. I sure hope so.
Take care. Thanks for your time.
Okay. Thanks, Lance. Appreciate it. Bye bye.
Bye bye.